Hello everybody. Biases, stereotypes. We all have them. We like to think we don't, but we do. There's not a person that doesn't have some kind of bias or stereotype. Here's why, and here's why they can be so damaging. First of all, how are they developed? They're developed through experience, through our environment. So whatever environment that you interact with, you're going to create a bias. The people that you interact with are going to influence you to think a certain way, to like something or not like something. And that's going to create a bias or a stereotype. Second is they're not all bad. The great thing about a bias or a stereotype is that you form an opinion or an impression, and that helps you not having to think through issues time and time again. For instance, I don't like broccoli. You don't have to worry about ordering broccoli or trying to determine what type of vegetable you want for lunch or dinner. You just know you don't like broccoli, and that's going to save you quite a bit of time deliberating which to get. Which leads us to the third part, and this is where they can be damaging. If you have a bias or stereotype, again, you stop thinking. You've developed a habit, an impression. That means that if an issue arises again, you know exactly how you're going to answer that issue or that event. You've already determined, based on what you believe, that the answer is either going to be yes or no. There's very little maybes in biases and stereotypes. You never rethink, or rarely do you rethink a conclusion that you've made that's turned into a bias or a stereotype. Circumstances change, life changes. But if you have a bias or a stereotype, you don't. You believe what you believed yesterday, and that's going to be a belief that you have tomorrow. That's where bias and stereotypes can be so damaging. They stop you from thinking. They preclude you from analyzing an issue in the future, and as a result, you could be making the wrong decision. You could be treating people differently, which you shouldn't, and you should be answering a result from a study or an experiment in a wrong manner because your previous experience is going to dictate your future decisions. One more aspect about biases and stereotypes that are so damaging. When you stop thinking about an issue, a person, or an event, then you're at the will of the experience that you've had. You're at the will of whatever previous events have now created this bias and stereotype. And if you're in a very secluded environment, if you really haven't expanded your mind or your thoughts or your actions, then you have a very limited perspective, which means that you're going to have a very limited impression of other people, other things, and other events. You haven't broadened your scope in a way that allows you to think more systemically, more broadly, and to be more appreciative of things that you certainly don't know. Bias and stereotypes are terribly damaging to a person's future. They're even more damaging to a culture's future. Prejudging on insignificant issues, like whether you like broccoli, is a good thing. Prejudging, which is a bias or stereotype, on things about people or events, organizations, businesses, or your personal life, are things that really can be catastrophic to your future. So, if you do have a bias or stereotype on the more important things in life, make sure that you're aware of it. Make sure that you consciously say to yourself, I inherently have a bias or stereotype on this issue, but I'm not going to let it influence the way I think. If you can do that, if you can control the biases and stereotypes you have, you're more able to think through to make sure that you make not only the best decision, but the right decision at the right time for the right reasons. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the day.